I've read a lot of manga and anime. In my many years of watching anime and manga, I came across many master-student relationships. Very few have been striking to me, and this chapter definitely had one of those, but one which was extremely striking. I really got emotional when Yami called out my boy Asta, man. That was just dope writing by Tabata. On a side note, I do not want to make my chapter analysis videos to be cliché, so we will be using another approach in consequent videos, so prepare yourselves to be amazed, as I dissect the chapter, piece by piece. So last chapter ended with Yami completely destroying Dante's torso. So far, Yami has displayed skills that outclassed all of Dante's spells. Even his gravity singularity spell, Yami hypothesized on trying to clash it with the Black Moon. Despite the outcome of this clash being unknown, there was the lingering possibility that both spells could cancel out. Also, this battle clearly shows us that Prime Julius is definitely stronger than Dante. And Yami already alluded to this previously. Not being able to deteriorate is one point, insane regeneration is another. But not being able to age, that was surprising. But understandable, given in Yano's flashback, Zeno looked exactly the same. And Vaniku also looks pretty young despite probably being over 35. I believe we could all conclude based on this clues that the Dark Triad have ultimate regeneration. They do not age or die. But the manner in which this works will be specific for each individual. For instance, Dante's body will regenerate continuously, but in Zeno's case, that would be his bones. And in Vanika's case her blood. In Zeno's case, his disciples had regeneration, to an extent. And in Vanika's case, they were literally unkillable, despite the later being because of Megicula's curse. Dante's internal monologue clearly gave us a little bit of insight on this guy's true nature. He despises Yami, because even at full power, he can only resort to his regeneration to defeat Yami. Also he tells Yami that this world is unfair, and there are hurdles that you would never be able to overcome. This was definitely him, alluding to the fact that, despite Yami's superiority in terms of skills, he would still defeat Yami, given he cannot die. That is why he ended with the phrase, "It's gratifying." At this point, he had grown tremendously in size, being almost as tall as a building. And this had me wondering, if at 80% of the devil's power, he is this big, what then would happen when he is able to tap into the full power of his devil and go 100%? Will he be as tall as Devil Licked? So at this point, Dante was big, Yami small. Dante had infinite mana and regeneration, and Yami finite mana amount, and no regeneration. You would think that would stop Yami from trying, but no. He didn't. But instead, he dodged Dante's attack, and landed another death thrust, with this attack completely destroying Dante's side. We already knew this was ineffective, because of the regeneration. But you cannot blame the guy for trying. Dante at this point made it clear to Yami that, despite all the attacks, and subsequent damage incurred, he would still defeat Yami, in their end. And in the clash that ensued, he succeeded to impale Yami. Asta and the others were watching Yami struggle against an opponent he could not beat. An opponent who would not die, even after losing 3 lives. Yami had already killed this guy thrice. Asta was trying all he could to get up and assist his captain in any way possible. But then, he heard someone call his name. That was Yami, calling out Asta, having acknowledged that he could not defeat Dante alone. This was definitely a shocker, given, in the 256 previous chapters of Black Clover, Yami had never once called Asta by his name. Just think about it a little. Asta, a boy without magic, took the Magic Knight exam. Despite having failed in all magic-based tests, he only scored a pass in PvP. And you guys can of course remember this scene, where most of the captains decided not to allow Asta into their squads, despite not knowing his ability. But then Yami showed up and decided to take him in. This guy, the same person who first acknowledged him. The person who taught him how to sense ki. This very person called him and said, "I cannot win without you, Asta." That was more than enough motivation to have us to get back up and stand by his side. I really wish this is properly adapted in the anime, because this would be a turning point in Asta's story. So Asta standing by Yami still had red eyes, implying he was probably using his devil power, but the significant difference here was his body, and to be more specific, his right side was not covered by his anti-magic. He also had a horn, and a tiny wing. This definitely looked like a downgrade from his berserk form, since then, he had multiple horns and even a tail. That said, this might be a form that indicates more control and stability over his devil power. If I were to speculate, I would say that at this critical moment, Asta was able to somewhat exert control over a massive portion of the devil's power. That is why his body looks normal, but for the wings and the eye and horn. I wouldn't even be surprised at this point if this form is stronger than the berserk form. But that is just me hypothesizing. With all that said and done, the million-dollar question would then be, will Asta in his new form, and Yami at full power, be able to take down Dante? And my answer will be no, and here is why. The answer is simple. Story progression. Zeno already captured William, and Vanica captured Laura Pachika. Yami is needed as well for the Cliff Tree to be summoned. The vice-captain of the Black Bulls is somewhere in the Spade Kingdom as well. So, in order for the story to progress, Yami needs to get captured. So in my humble opinion, Yami will get captured while giving Final a final task, which is to get all the others out of that area. In this moment of crisis, Final 2 will unlock a new spell, which will enable the others to escape. That said, Dante and the Triad still need arcane stage mages, right? Yes and no. Let me explain. Of course they do need these arcane stage mages, but they might not need to go after them given they will come to them on their own will. Having captured Yami, even if Vanessa, Gray and Asta escape, he knows they will come back to save their captain. Another question would be, are the arcane stage mages a requirement for the Cliff Tree to be summoned? If so, that would mean their plan will not be complete unless they capture all these mages. In the story, we have come across 7 arcane stage mages: Asta, William, Julius, Yami, Vanessa, Secra and Gray. The Cliff Tree has 10 ports. This therefore means we might need another 3 to fill in the final 3 ports. Those could be the Triad members, or other characters we know. That said, I do believe Yano's pendant could still be the final key in this process as well. So Yano too will need to be targeted. Maybe Zeno already took it after defeating Yano. Who knows? That's just me hypothesizing, guys. So, just imagine if this were true, won't that make for an interesting story? Well, those were my thoughts on the chapter. Let me know your ideas in the comment section as well. If you like this type of content, please subscribe. Also do not forget to hit the notification bell to get notified once I release any new video. And now, the Asta Anthem.